Yeah, it's real shit right here, man. Talking.
And so we're talking about these gods, but notice the gods, even in here, have a lowercase g, not a capital G for the creator of the universe, a lowercase g, meaning man has deified these people, even though these people were not the creators of the universe, but they had advanced knowledge and advanced technology. They did the work and bore the loads. So the gods used to do the work and bore the load. Now, think about this for a second. What are they talking about, do the work? They're talking about this epic is kind of really beginning when these people came down from heaven to earth and began to turn mud into a kingdom. In the ancient Kemetic text, right, then the Turu turned mud into a kingdom. These are the same exact people from the land of Kemet. Now, they say when the gods instead of man did the work and bore the loads, the gods' load was too great. Now, think about this for a second. Why in the world would the creator of the universe need to work and do labor and do hard labor? Why? Why would the God of the universe have to bear the load and do labor? The work was too hard. The trouble was too much. Well, think about that. Well, what trouble? What work? If you're God, if you're the creator of the universe, why is the work too hard? Why is the load too hard to bear? The great Anunnaki made the Igigi carry the workload sevenfold. Now, the Igigi, you've heard me talk about the Igigi, right? The Igigi were these working class Anunnaki beings. And they were really like volunteers when you analyze the text. They were not slaves. However, they were being treated like slaves. They were being treated like lower class citizens. And so they were starting to get pissed off because they were given 7 times the workload as the other gods. And these people are, like I said, gods with a lowercase g. They're just men. They're flesh and blood people that put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you and me. So they made them carry the workload sevenfold. Anu, their father, was king. So Anu was like the head figure, right? Anu. Anu went up to the sky, and Enlil took the earth for his people. The boat which bars the sea was assigned to far-sighted Enki. When Anu had gone up to the sky, and the gods of the Apsu had gone below, the Anunnaki of the sky made the Igigi bear the workload. So these people went up into their sky ship. They're just kicking back. They got their feet up. They're relaxed. They're chilling. They said, you guys do all the work. We're going to sit back and watch from the sky. Just keep laboring. Keep creating this breakaway civilization that we started here. Keep laboring and keep digging these canals and building the buildings and laying down the plumbing and everything else. We're going to watch from the sky. Now, this is written before these Anunnaki had engaged mankind, our cousins that were already here on the planet. They weren't Homo sapiens sapien like us, but they were a version of us. They weren't engaged by these people yet, though. These people were still doing the work themselves to create their own breakaway civilization, kind of really ignoring us and leaving us alone, believe it or not. So he says, when Anu had gone up to the sky and the gods of the Apsu had gone below, the Anunnaki of the sky made the Igigi bear the workload. The gods had to dig out canals. Now, why in the world are gods digging out canals? So we're clearly talking about flesh and blood people. We're talking about people that had advanced technology and advanced knowledge. We're not talking about creators of the universe. So he says, the gods had to dig out canals, had to clear channels, the lifelines of the land. I'm talking about farming now. The Igigi had to dig out canals, had to clear channels, lifelines of the land. The gods dug out the Tigris River. Wow. And then dug out the Euphrates. Then there's some missing pieces of the tablet. It says, in the deep, they set up the Apsu of the land. Inside it, raised its top. All of the mountains, they were counting the years of loads. They had been laboring for quite some time, by the way. The great marsh, They were counting the years of loads. For 3,600 years, they bore the excess. 3,600 years is one rotation of their home planet around our sun. They call it a shar, according to these Anunnaki people. Hard work, night and day. They groaned and blamed each other. This is how you know they're not real gods. They groaned. They're in pain. People are hurting. This back-breaking labor going on. They groaned and blamed each other, grumbled over the masses of excavated soil. Let us confront our masters, the Chamberlain, and get him to relieve us of our hard work. Come, let us carry, then it says the Lord, I think it was going to try to say Lord Enki, something to the counselor of the gods, because it's a broken piece of the tablet. The counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling, come, let us carry Enlil. Enlil is Yahweh in the modern day Bible. Let me tell you that again. In the modern day Bible, Enlil is Yahweh. He is the God that came back to Eden and noticed that the people had gained some damn sense and realized that they weren't freaking animals and put on clothes and got some knowledge in their freaking head from Enki, and he got pissed off about it. Enlil is the one, if you read the Epic of Gilgamesh and a lot of these other ancient tablets, that's killing off humans by the thousands and tens of thousands because they're just making too much noise. We're talking about a very evil person, an evil, evil person that ruled over this planet for quite some time. The council of the gods, the warrior from his dwelling. So they said, let's get to Enlil and talk to him. We got to get to the counselor of the gods. This guy's the head man in charge. We need to holler at him and tell him, hey, man, our backs are breaking here doing this labor. Then Allah made his voice heard. Oh, Allah. You thought that came from the Quran? No, it comes from the Sumerian tablets. And spoke of the gods, his brothers. Then there's a gap about 8 lines right here. He says, come, let us carry the counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling. Come, let us carry Enlil, the counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling. Now cry battle. Let us mix fight with battle. The gods listened to his speech, set fire to their tools, put aside their spades for fire, their loads for fire god. They flared up. When they reached the gate of warrior, Enlil's dwelling, it was night in the middle watch. So what's happening here? There's a coup going on. There's a coup going on.
By Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by Billy Carson.
Igigi people, according to these tablets, were working on Earth and also working on Mars at the same exact time. They're working in 2 locations, Earth and Mars, according to these tablets, not according to Billy Carson. And the work was 7 times the load to bear. So what happens? It says that they come down. The gods descended from Lamu. They come down from Mars to Earth to encircle the encampment of Enlil where he slept. Because now they're like, hey, we've been begging for relief. We've been asking for a break. We've been working for thousands of years. And their complaint was that, hey, man, we need a break. And if we don't get a break, we're going to go to war. These are the sons of God that fell from heaven to earth and went against the Lord, right? This is what made it into the Bible, but this is the actual real story right here, the real story. So he said, the house was surrounded by the God, but the God had not realized. It was night, the middle watch. Ekur was surrounded. Ekur is their fort. Enlil had not realized, yet Kalkal was attentive and had it closed. He held the lock and watched the gate. Kalkal roused Nuxu. They listened to the noise of the Igigi. The Nuxu roused his master. Woke him up. Get up, man. They out here. They're about to attack us, man. Made him get out of bed. My lord, your house is surrounded. A rabble is running around your door. Enlil, your house is surrounded. A rabble is running around your door. Enlil had weapons brought to his dwelling. Oh, they got weapons. And trust me, these ain't sticks. These are not sticks, okay? With carved rocks on the tip, with sharp rocks on the edge. These are real weapons. He says, take your weapons and stand in front of me. Nuxu barred his door, took up his weapons and stood in front of Enlil. Nuxu made his voice heard and spoke to the warrior Enlil. Oh, my lord, your face is, then it's got a damage here to the stone. Your face is Tamarisk. Why do you fear your own sons? So he's saying, hey, man, these are your people too. Like, what's going on here? Right? Listen to them. Oh, Enlil, your face is shallow. Tamarisk, why do you fear your own sons? Send for Anu to be brought down to you. Have Enki fetched into your presence. He sent for Anu. Anu is their father, right? He's the lead dude, right? He's the main guy. He sent for Anu to be brought down to him. Enki was fetched into his presence. So they went and got Enki, they went and got Anu. So now you got Anu, who's the father. You got Enki, who's the son, and you got Enlil, who's another son. So these are two brothers, Enki and Enlil. As a matter of fact, Earth is named after Ea Enki. Ea, right? And then Ki is Earth. So that's where we get the name Earth from. It comes from an ancient Sumerian, quote unquote, lowercase g god, who just happens to be the father of Atrahasis, the guy that wrote the epic. All right. So this guy that I'm reading from, he's actually half human and half Anunnaki. Pretty interesting. That's where you get the name demigod from, right? The term demigod. So check this out. He says he sent for Anu to be brought down to him. Enki was fetched into his presence. Anu, king of the sky, was present. They went and they contacted Anu, who was in the sky ship, and he came down to the planet. They went and got him. They summoned him, and he came on down. He never liked to stay down here too much, spend too much time on the surface of the planet. He rather hang out in his sky ship. This is what the text always says. Anu, king of the sky, was present. Enki, king of Apsu, attended. The great Anunnaki were present. Enlil got up, and the chase was put. Enlil made his voice heard and spoke to the great gods. Is it against me that they have risen? Shall I do battle? What did I see in my own eyes? A rabble was running around my door. Anu made his voice heard and spoke to the warrior Enlil. Let Nuxu go out and find out word of the Igigi. In other words, let's go out there, send Nuxu out there to talk to these crazy people and tell us what they want. What do you want? Who have surrounded your door? A command to Enlil was made. His voice was heard. Go to the next part of the tablet. And spoke to Vizier Nuxu. Nuxu, open your door. Take up your weapons and stand before me. In the assembly of all the gods, bow, then stand and tell them, your father Anu, your counselor warrior Enlil, your chamberlain Ninurta, and your canal controller Inuji have sent me to say, who is in charge of this rabble? Who is in charge of the fighting? Who declared war? Who ran the door of Enlil? Who ran to the door of Enlil? In other words, who's in charge here? Who's the one commanding this coup against the rulers of planet Earth? Who is it? Who allowed you guys, who approved this mission for you guys to come down from Mars to Earth, to gather up any Igigi on Earth, and to come over here today? Where are they? They're in South Africa. They're at Adam's Calendar in South Africa, which exists right now today. You can go there and you'll find the oldest gold mines on Earth.
By Compendium of the Emerald Tablets by...
It kind of repeats it there, a little bit, but that's how it is, right? It's pretty interesting. Ea, that's Enki, made his voice heard and spoke to the gods, his brothers. Why are we blaming them? Enki says. Why are we blaming them? Enki is the same person who's considered to be the serpent that showed up in the Garden of Eden and talked to Adam and Eve. Same exact person. And when his brother shows up, Enlil, who aka Yahweh, he's pissed off because these people have gained some damn sense. The apple that Eve ate wasn't an apple like off of a tree, a physical apple like a piece of fruit. It was knowledge. What does apple represent? Knowledge. They gained knowledge by talking to Enki, that they were self-aware, that they were sentient beings, that they were on the same level as the Anunnaki, and that they weren't animals. and that this was a laboratory and they were being experimented on for mating purposes to duplicate and create a slave race. Enki had his voice heard and spoke to the gods as brothers. Why are you blaming them? Their work was too hard. Their trouble was too much. Every day the earth resounded. The warning signal was loud enough. We kept hearing the noise. There it is. Billet Eli, the womb goddess, is present. Let her create a primeval man. Got to read the way this is broken down from the Sumerian. Let her create primeval man. So this is where now we've reached a point where Enki is like, okay, either we're going to go to battle against this mob of angry Igigi and lose because they outnumber us, or we got to come up with a solution, and we better come up with one pretty damn quick. We better come up with a solution pretty damn quick, or it's going to be all over for us. This will be our last stand right here, right? So Enki says, you know, I have an idea. Let the womb goddess create a primeval man. This is the first instance of engaging and genetically modifying the existing hominid on this planet that they used to, at that point, were leaving alone. They came here about 450,000 years ago, and they worked for 250,000 of those 450,000 years themselves when you add up all the shards in the ancient text, right? And then 200,000 years ago, they decided to do this primeval man and make them bear the load. And guess what? When does modern science say Homo sapiens showed up on this planet? 200,000 years ago. Just go to any college book and you'll read it and you'll find out that's what the answer is. You think that's a coincidence?
By Compendium of the Emerald Tablet.
Let the womb go. Now we're getting into real slavery. Now we understand the real full objective here is, okay, we were kind of treating y'all like slaves. We didn't listen. My bad. Now we're going to go ahead and take these people on this planet, turn them into our slaves now, let them do the work of Enlil. Because Enlil was building big cities. He had this big master plan on the previous tablet where he's showing his sister, Ninurta, that he had a plan he was going to put on this earth for all time. He said, this plan is for all time. From this point forward, everything on this earth will be built based on my blueprint. And guess what? It still is till this very day. To this very day, his blueprint of building cities and structures and communities and all that is still on this planet today after all these tens of thousands of years, right? He says, so that they may bear the yoke, the work of Enlil. Let man bear the load of the gods. Let man bear the load of the gods. Bilitili, the womb goddess, is present. Let the womb goddess create offspring. Oh, in the Bible, it says, let us make man in our image. Don't let these pastors fool you with the foolishness. They give you the trickery. Oh, that's the Holy Ghost and the this and the